Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West. Here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. As usual, give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Headed into 2025. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Why is the City Hall fire escape still in top headlines? That's in Youngstown. David Scolding has a report published December 24th in a story that has pretty much been in and out of the headlines throughout all of 2024. The article explains how frustration is mounting over Youngstown City Hall's fire escape replacement plans. Now, the entire fire escape has not been able to pass a fire department inspection because of problems inside of the building, according to the report. Now, what got the story in is the fact that we're headed into 2025. It is because of, I guess, what the article calls a disconnect within communication lines and departments. So this is happening quite a bit. Now, the article is filled with doubts about passing the fire inspection and what the article clearly lays out as issues within the building. Now, the story highlights a growing list of problems when it comes to the downtown blues headed into 2025. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Downtown blues. Big B. Story number 2. Canfield is in the top 5. JT Whitehouse, Canfield High School. JT Whitehouse has a report published December 22nd out of Canfield because Canfield High School's Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math class, better known as STEM, is one of 5 Ohio schools to be named a finalist in the 15th annual Samsung Solve for Tomorrow STEM competition. Now, the school has been awarded a $2,500 technology prize, and according to the report, will compete for a $100,000 national prize. The school will compete with 300 schools across the nation. Now, thus getting the story into the top 8. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. Trumbull County Judge retires. Trumbull County Judge retired. Chris McBride has a report out of the Vindicator explaining how a Trumbull County Common Pleas Court Judge, Andrew D. Logan, will be stepping down from his role at the court. Now, the report was published December 25th. Now, Logan has served in the position for 29 consecutive years, according to the report. Now, the entire article lays out Logan's accomplishments and plans while he is in retirement. Story number 3 made it this week. It's a lot of older school people are stepping down. It's time for the next generation to step up. Big B. Story number 4. Another local chemical story. Stephanie Elverd has a report published December 24th out of the Vindicator. This one is out of East Liverpool, highlighting another chemical fight in the U.S. Department of Defense plans to resume the burning of polyfluoroalkyl substances. Now, the entire story has left lawmakers with questions about these chemicals. Now, Canfield has also been in top headlines relating to the chemical hazard spill in July, and what an article published December 20th says is still drawing some criticism. Now, the article published by JT Whitehouse talks about the chemical leak from Material Science Corporation that took place near a bike trail over the summer. Now, this is all after the East Palestine saga that unfolded some years back. Now, this story is still developing because people are seriously concerned about chemicals. Story number 5. The cost of restoration. David Scolding has a report published December 20th about how the board voted 3-0 to pay an additional $148,675 for repairs that changed the entire cityscape after the May 28th gas explosion. The entire report lays out what is taking place within the downtown area when it comes to redevelopment and restoration. Now, there is a lot going on in this story, and the article succeeds at laying out what is taking place and what it will cost. The report also talks about what led to the explosion and how a contractor unknowingly sawed into a live gas line, thus causing the explosion. Now, the report also homes in on what appears to be some very unhappy vibes on how the entire downtown redevelopment process has been handled so far, before and even after the explosion. Folks, this is a real deal story headed into 2025. So story number 5 made in this week. Story number 6, $380K in handouts, $380,000. In a report published December 25th out of the Vindicator, it appears that the Raymond John Weed Foundation will be giving out more than $380,000 in grants and about $151,250 in additional resources, according to the report. Now, the report is filled with information about who will be receiving the funds. So story number 6 also made it to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week for you to keep you informed. Story number 7, still in a drug mess. Yes, folks. A lot of local residents are still battling the drug bug. I'm sure people are still feeling the heat. Now, this is even after Mahoning Valley was granted $2.8 million to fight the opioid addiction. So next time you hear somebody on the phone, tell him to get out. He ain't nothing. He ain't gonna do nothing. That's what's going on. Somebody is on drugs. Dan Pompley has an entire piece published December 19th explaining where the money will be spent in this something carrying money from the opioid crisis. Now, this is all while the damage has already been done, folks. The impact on what the opioid and drug war has done to the local community is real. Overdoses, deaths, and a trail of trauma may prove that money may not be able to fix this problem. Not even probably patch it up. Now, this story brings the drug issue back in top headlines, a drug issue that is still real, folks. Story number 7. Big. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week for you. Keep you informed. If you don't get up this early, if you get up and you're, oh, Brian, he ain't gonna do that, then you can check out the show. I do upload it to the website on Monday. So if you don't get up this early and want to check out the show, feel free to go to the website. I have all the shows on there, community programs that we've done, movies, even music. You might even hear me spitting a few lines on the website. Story number 8. Why NDC gets more funding to build. 2025, last story of 2024, why NDC made it to the top. How about that? The affordable housing push is staying in top headlines, and why NDC seems to be highly favored after receiving a $1.5 million grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh to build affordable housing in the city of Youngstown. Now, the investment will allow 10 high-quality new home units to be built along the Glenwood Avenue corridor, according to Ian Beniston. Now, that's YNDC's executive director. Now, the small article was published December 19th, which lays out other major building goals in 2025 as well. So story number 8 made it to this week. Well, folks, our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator to me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week, folks, headed into 2025. Folks, we saw it all in 2024. We saw death, destruction. We got to vote for presidents. We got to believe in things that we never thought existed. We saw things happen. Digital progress. AI, artificial intelligence. We saw a lot. We even could believe that at 55 to 60 something years old, we could get in the ring with 28-year-old people, folks. We saw a lot. We saw wars. The deserted Bethlehem around Christmas. We saw inflation. We saw a former president, now president, almost get assassinated. We saw health insurance premiums and things pop in the headlines. Folks, this has been a disastrous year, so I pray that those we lost in 2024 will still be with us in spirit in 2025. Some of us that even lost relatives. Folks, we may have even been in contact with extraterrestrial life. Meet. We are here on planet Earth to take back what belongs to us. Give us all your weapons. Folks, we saw it all in 2024. Drones flying over the cities. Saw a lot. Police, top headlines. So I've made a song headed into 2025. Hoping that we can make it into 2026, most of us. Here it goes. We saw it all in 2024. What more is there to see? Will we believe after we've seen just about everything in 2024? What will there be left, Lord, dear Lord, to see in 2025? Will we believe? Woo! CD will be coming out called 2025. What will be left to see? What will we believe? Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Another mortgage investigation. Reuters has a report published December 23rd explaining how the U.S. is assessing Rocket Homes of illegal. They're accusing them of illegal kickbacks. They're assessing what's going on, and they're accusing them of illegal kickbacks and a mortgage scheme to steer mortgage applications back to Rocket. Now, the entire report is filled with dog bone awards and what the article calls a kickback scheme that discouraged home buyers from comparison shopping and getting the best deal. Rocket Homes has rejected the CFPB's allegations. Folks, this story is still developing. That's story number 1. Story number 2. Hard stance for Trump on immigration. The Wall Street Journal has a report focusing on how dreamers are preparing for the worst as Trump has vowed to deport millions, as stated in the report. Now, the entire report puts readers inside of the minds of people who have been in the United States for some time now, but may have to face the wrath of Trump's deportation plans. Now, the main talking point that Trump seems to be making is that he plans to deport those lacking legal status. Folks, this story is still developing. That's why story number 2 made it this way. Story number 3. Who to blame for drug abuse? USA Today has a report explaining how the Department of Justice plans to sue CVS for allegedly filling illegal prescriptions, which helped fuel the opioid crisis, as stated in the report. Now, this adds to a growing wave of pressure on the drug industry, with a lot of people wondering, who do you blame for the still lingering drug abuse problem in America? Now, do you blame the dealers, one question, or or do you blame the person who is addicted for making the decision? This is a big question. Now, the consistent stories and top headlines in regards to pharmacy chains going out of business and leaving many communities without drugstores is keeping stories like these alive. Folks, the question now is what will be left if every pharmacy chain goes under because of opioid lawsuits and abuse? Folks, this story is still developing. That's my story number 3 made in this week. Story number 4. What do American workers want? In 2024, America saw a range of strikes, a few of them. Now, Amazon is now protesting because employees want a livable wage. Now, the company employs 800,000 people on the front line on the front lines, and this is nationwide. This is a workforce nationwide. Now, Amazon has been, they've been in quite a few headlines, but they also have about 1,000 warehouses, and now unions are demanding the company come to the bargaining table and negotiate a contract. Now, this story is still developing with every American worker now focused on how they too can get a better deal as the cost of living continues to rise. So it's basically saying Amazon is putting this on the radar, so other workers are probably like, well, what can we do to get a better deal, especially with all this inflation and the costs going up, and the fact that the executive life seems to be like a dream to a lot of people that some people may never get to. So they're looking at their executives, their top officials, flying around in jets, drinking smoothies on some deserted island somewhere. So a lot of people are like, how do I live that life? That's why story number 4 made to the top this week. Almost made to in the top 4. So, well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines, developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with top 4. So don't you go anywhere. The Mediator, me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Tune in to Method Ace YouTube channel to check out the top interviews that made it throughout the years and months. Visit Method30Dec24. Check out all the community interviews if you want to check it out. Method30Dec24. Buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, I've been at a lot of hospitals headed into 2025. 2024, I was probably in more hospitals than I can imagine. And I can hear them talking and discussing things and bringing people back to life. I was talking to my mother because she flatlined this year, and she was telling me about how she's seen the other side, and when you get on the other side, you get pushed back into your body. This happened to me a long time ago when I had to go to the hospital. So I was relating. Did you see any dead people? Did you see people? Where were you? You float up in the ceiling, and then you come back into your body. Oh, Lord. But this is what's happening in hospitals. So healthcare is big. There's viruses sitting on the floor just chatting and waiting to jump into somebody's body. And we saw a lot of that in 2024. We're still battling some of these COVID scared people are just passing out and dying and having strokes. Folks, this stuff is serious. Health is serious heading into 2025. We'll probably see more people at the gym at the beginning, but who will last? Who will last 2025? Who will get in shape? Who will keep their New Year's resolution, folks? This is big. Who will survive? Who will stop smoking? Who will put down their bad habits? This is all what's headed. Who will focus on good health finally and defeat the evil that tries to suck life out of this world, folks? We've got to be great in our own little way. We've got to feel great, and we've got to strive for greatness in 2025. Folks, there has been so much death in 2024 that some of us have become numb to it, just walking over people and just going on with business as usual. But in 2025, we've got to be strong. So let's waste no time, folks. Some of my viewers I've probably lost have passed away. But we're going to keep chugging along here in mediation. So let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Mixed reviews on the Trump-Musk plans headed into the new year. The Washington Post has an opinion piece published by the editorial board December 21st in what appears to be some unsettled dust from the battle to keep the government open. Now, the article is filled with what has been going on behind the scenes and does point out some some things that Trump and Musk may have right, but is not shy about pointing out the reality and what appears to be some foot down goals and some things that they may have wrong and how they're handling the government's business. Now, the article goes on to highlight how the national debt is on an unsustainable course, but the reality is that it has always been on an unsustainable course for some time. Now, the article also points out how Trump is right that the federal debt limit should be reformed. It should, if not abolished. So they're basically saying, like, if there's going to be a federal debt limit, then Trump saying that maybe we need to get rid of it. Now, another talking point is the fact that lifting the debt limit does not authorize any new spending, but it merely allows the government to borrow money to finance spending that Congress has already committed to. Now, the article seems to favor Trump's common sense approach and the article ends leaving the reader realizing that we've been on a printing course when it comes to money for so long that even a red wave won't be able to face up to a system of government that is very, very hard to change, folks. And it's we've become accustomed to this now, folks. This story is still developing. That's why story number 5 made it. Story number 6. Who will the spending cuts affect the most, especially coming in 2025? Notus, that's Notus, has a report explaining how Republicans are planning $2.5 million in, well, that's 2.5 trillion, not million, in spending cuts, including entitlements. Now, these cuts in mandatory spending include major spending cuts in programs like Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and veterans benefits. Now, the report highlights a bold stance on the positions that I guess has put a lot of fish. The fact that the Trump administration, or this next administration, Republicans mainly, it's put a lot of pressure on officials who at this moment in time, some people don't see these cuts as logical or don't see them as going to get anything done, especially this time in history of the world when it looks like everything's literally falling apart. So it's basically saying you're going to take away from the people and you're going to, just try to pay the bills. But folks, this is a complicated story that will eventually affect everyone in the long run. That's why story number 6 made this week, because you're cutting programs that people have been embedded in people's life. So this is story number 6. I also made it to the top 2 this week. Big story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week for you to keep you informed. And that is it. Story number 7. Health insurance is a big concern. Scientific American has an opinion piece published December 19th focusing on the United Healthcare tragedy and why insurance needs to change now. The entire piece tells the story from a victim's point of view and basically highlights the profits over people factor. It is basically a cry for reform by pointing out the cost of healthcare. Folks, this story is still developing. That's why story number 7 also made it to the top this week, because everybody is talking healthcare. Big headline. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that I made this week for you to keep you informed, and also reminding you to not forget about your businesses headed into 2025. There are some lonely business people just needing a blessing. Story number 8. Government spending headed into 2025. This is the top story of 2020, headed into 2025. The government funding bill is highlighted in a piece by ABC News. Folks, a piece published by John Parkinson, Lauren Pillar, and Evan Pereira on December 21st talks about a 118-page bill. Now, here are some talking points. Trump called for the bill to raise the debt limit ceiling, but the federal government is not expected to hit its borrowing limit until sometime in the spring or winter of 2025. Now, the bill includes $100 billion for disaster aid, $30 billion for farmers, and a 1-year extension of the Farm Bill. $100 million for pediatric cancer research, and a deal that would have transferred the land that holds Robert F. Kennedy's Memorial Stadium from the federal government to the District of Columbia. I did see that $100 million in pediatric, I think that was taken out of the bill, but you can fact check that for me. But if I recall when I was reading the article, I believe that's what it said. Now, headed into 2025, America will be at odds with a foreign wars problem and a domestic spending problem. That means how are we gonna pay the bills at home, and on top of that, take care of the world's problems. 20 GOP senators voted against the Social Security bill that would bolster Social Security benefits for more than 2 million American citizens working in a range of occupations. Folks, this story is still developing headed into 2025, but it just kind of gives you a little bit of a taste of where we're headed, what's actually taking place. It doesn't lay out too much of what's going on, but it kind of gives you just the main ideas of where there's talk, where the spending talk is going, and the fact they're trying to cut things, and they're trying to pay the bills, they're trying to fund people's wars and help out allies. This is what's all headed into 2025. A lot of stuff has died down, so this is where it looks like 2025 is just going to be a patch-up year where everybody is just going to be trying their best to understand money and pay the bills. This is where we're headed, folks. They're going to try to just shake some things up, and it's going to be an interesting year, folks. Well, folks, are top 8 local and international headlines, the last of 2024. Lord willing, next time you see me will be in 2025. I want to thank you so much for tuning in this year. Thank you all my viewers. If you do, well, I always got to say, I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle, navigating news stories just to keep you informed. If you do want to show us some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, or Youngstown. And you can see my smiling face stop at the store. Well, folks, I am out of here. Happy New Year. Have a great New Year. Prosperous, plenty of love and happiness. Thank you for tuning in this year with me, Brian West, to the Mediator. Have a good week, everybody, and Happy New Year. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.